The message arrived at 12:47 a.m., glowing softly on a cracked phone screen in a silent apartment, and for a moment it felt like the night itself had leaned in and whispered something dangerous, something tender, something that could change everything. As a single dad sitting alone at a small kitchen table, half asleep with unpaid bills spread like accusations in front of him, Adam Miller never imagined that one quiet vibration would stir emotions he had buried for years. The photo was simple, intimate, and unsettling in its honesty, and beneath it were the words that made his breath stop. "Do you think it's beautiful? Before we go any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet ways lives can change when we least expect it, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who might need hope tonight, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Your support keeps stories like this alive." Adam's life had become a careful routine shaped by loss and responsibility. 3 years earlier, his wife Emily had died suddenly from an undiagnosed heart condition, leaving him alone with their 6-year-old daughter Lily and a grief so heavy it settled into the walls of their modest apartment. Mornings were rushed with school lunches and mismatched socks, days were long shifts at a warehouse, and nights were quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the occasional nightmare that sent Lily padding into his room seeking comfort. Adam had learned to survive by numbing himself, by focusing on tasks and schedules, by convincing himself that love was something he had already spent his share of. The world outside his daughter felt distant, almost unreal, and he hadn't noticed how lonely he'd become until that message lit up his phone. The neighbor's name was Clara Bennett, a woman who lived across the narrow courtyard in apartment 3B. Adam knew her only in fragments, the sound of her piano drifting through open windows on summer evenings, the way she always smiled softly when they passed on the stairs, the quiet patience she showed Lily when the little girl insisted on telling long, winding stories. Clara was kind in a way that didn't demand attention, and maybe that was why Adam had never let himself think about her too deeply. She was just a neighbor, he told himself, just another person living their own life behind closed doors. The photo Clara sent wasn't provocative in the way Adam first feared. It was a photograph of her standing in front of a mirror, wearing a simple blue dress, her hair loose, her eyes uncertain. There was vulnerability in the image, a rawness that made Adam feel like he was holding something fragile. The question beneath it wasn't about beauty in a shallow sense, it felt like she was asking whether she was beautiful in a world that might have convinced her otherwise. Adam stared at the screen, his heart pounding, memories of his own doubts and quiet pain rising to the surface. Clara's story, though Adam didn't know all of it yet, mirrored his own in unexpected ways. She had moved into the building after leaving a long, emotionally draining relationship that had chipped away at her confidence. Nights were hardest for her, filled with second-guessing and the echo of words that once told her she was never enough. Sending that photo was an act of courage she hadn't known she still possessed, a small reach into the dark hoping someone would see her, truly see her, and not turn away. Adam's response came slowly, his fingers trembling as he typed words he hadn't used in years. He told her the truth as he saw it, not just about the dress or the way the light caught her face, but about the strength he sensed in her eyes, the quiet bravery it took to ask that question at all. When he finally pressed send, he felt exposed, as if he had opened a window in a room he'd kept locked for too long. He didn't sleep much that night, caught between fear and a strange, warming hope. In the days that followed, small changes began to ripple through Adam's carefully contained world. He noticed how Clara lingered a little longer to talk when they crossed paths, how her smile seemed brighter, more certain. Text messages replaced silence late at night, conversations wandering from music to memories to the strange ways life can break and rebuild a person. Adam found himself laughing again, really laughing, and the sound startled him every time. Lily noticed too, asking innocent questions about why her dad seemed happier, why the apartment felt lighter somehow. But healing is rarely straightforward, and Adam's fears didn't disappear just because something good had entered his life. Old guilt crept in, whispering that moving forward meant leaving Emily behind, that opening his heart again was a betrayal. There were nights he almost pulled away, typing and deleting messages, standing at his window watching Clara's lights and telling himself it was safer to stay alone. Clara, too, battled her own doubts, wondering if she was misreading kindness for something more, if she was risking another heartbreak. the turning point came quietly, without drama, on a rainy evening when Lily fell ill and Adam panicked, overwhelmed by the responsibility and fear of losing someone else he loved. Clara showed up at his door with soup and calm reassurance, helping him through the night with a steadiness that felt like a lifeline. Watching her sit beside Lily's bed, humming softly while the rain tapped against the windows, Adam realized that love didn't always arrive with grand gestures. Sometimes it came as presence, as choosing to stay when things were hard. From that night on, their connection deepened, rooted not in fantasy but in shared understanding and patience. They learned each other's scars, respected the slow pace of healing, and allowed joy to grow naturally. Adam began to believe that honoring the past didn't mean rejecting the future, and Clara started to see herself through kinder eyes, reflected back to her by someone who truly cared. Years later, Adam would still remember that first late-night message, not as a moment of temptation or fear, but as the quiet beginning of a second chance neither of them knew they needed. It reminded him that beauty isn't just something you see, it's something you recognize in courage, in vulnerability, in the decision to reach out even when you're afraid. If this story has touched your heart, if it reminded you that hope can arrive in the most unexpected moments, please take a moment now to like the video, share it with someone who believes in love after loss, and subscribe to the channel so more stories like this can find their way to those who need them. And before this story ends, we'd love you to comment just one word that describes how it made you feel, because sometimes a single word is enough to let someone know they're not alone.